Okay, today's lesson we're doing the zero product property. Some equations can be solved by factoring. Up to this point, we have factored only expressions, not equations yet. The zero product property states if the product of two factors is 0, then one of the factors must be 0. For any real numbers, a, b, if ab equals 0, then a is 0, or b is equal to 0, or a and b both equal 0. This makes sense. Here's an example of how we use the zero product property. We're given the statement 4x minus 8 equals 0. So we factor out the 4 using distributive property backwards. And then we set both factors equal to 0 and we solve for each factor. Since 4 equals 0 is not true, we just ignore it. X minus 2 equals 0, so we know how to solve an equation, plus 2, x is equal to 2. So our solution is x equals 2. So when we're given an equation like c squared equals 3c, we need to make it equal to 0 because that's the way the zero product property works. And so c squared minus 3c is equal to 0. You factor out your greatest common factor, which is c parentheses, c minus 3 equals 0. Now we set each factor equal to 0. So c is equal to 0, and c minus 3 is equal to 0. Our solution set is 0 and 3. Now we're going to do the check. We go back to the original, c squared equals 3c, 0 squared equals 3 times 0, 0 equals 0. We use the answer 3. 3 squared equals 3 times 3, and 9 equals 9. Again, doing the check is an important step. So if the factors are given to you, this is even easier. You set every factor equal to 0. So here we set this factor, 2d plus 6 equals 0, and then 3d minus 15 equals 0. Setting every factor equal to 0, and you solve for both variables. So here when you see the check done, you'll see that 2 times negative 3 plus 6 times 3d minus 15 is equal to 0. But instead of d, we are putting in 3 times negative 3. But here we get 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Negative 6 plus 6 is 0. 0 times negative 24 is 0. So that checks. If we do it in the other one, we have 2 times 5 plus 6 times 3 times 5 minus 15. So on this one, we end up with 10 plus 6 times 15 minus 15. And we end up with 16 times 0 equals 0. And again, 0 equals 0. So it's important to realize that when you do the check, you'll find out that it holds true. You try these two at home, factor out the greatest common factor, set every factor equal to 0, and solve for your variable. It's possible to have two answers. Try it with both examples. We'll discuss them in class.